What's up, everybody? This is Dan Thompson from AroundTheAssociation.com, and this is the Around the Association podcast. This is the Kevin Love Resign Return edition of the show for you as you're tuning in on Spreaker, Spotify, iTunes, and all those wonderful podcasting outlets. Please subscribe to the show, share it with all your friends, and also leave comments below because this is what it's all about. I want to know what your thoughts on these things. So, the news out of Cleveland says that Kevin Love has re-signed with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He has 1 year left on his deal, so the extension is 4 years at $120 million. He's still, when you look at the contract that he's already at on top of it, it totals out to 5 years at about $145 million for the next 5 years. Love, who could have opted out this summer, next summer to become a free agent, and the summer of riches, decided not to. He decided to stay in the place where he, not to mention, won a championship. He's been in the finals 3 times. Has been a multiple-time All-Star in Cleveland. And really, he's going to be there for the next 5 years. So let's look at what does this all mean for the Cleveland Cavaliers. Now, most times when a generational player leaves, LeBron James did it last time in Cleveland. Cleveland basically hit the ground, and they took him a while to get back. They had draft picks. They drafted Kyrie Irving. They took Tristan Thompson in the lottery. They drafted Andrew Wiggins, which turned into Kevin Love. Most times when a team loses a franchise-changing player somewhere else in their career as they're playing, the team gets worse. I mean, go back to even when Shaquille O'Neal left the Lakers. Kobe Bryant and the Lakers struggled to make the playoffs. And, that's the years where Kobe was taking 60, 70 shots a game, it seems like, for the Lakers because they had guys like Smush Parker around them. Look at Cleveland the last time they were there. Now, teams like Miami, where they had multiple superstars, or even Boston when they lost all. Even look at Boston when they lost Kevin Garnett and Paul Pierce after they were traded to Brooklyn, and in the down part of their careers, Boston took a while. They took all the Brooklyn draft picks, and the story is now history. So what does Kevin Love re-signing do for the Cavs? Well, number one, the Cavs will not be in the toilet this year. I was expecting Kevin Love to either, the Cavs to move Kevin Love or, it just be what it is. But the Cavs are actually trying to win this year. And that's a good thing for Cleveland fans. They're not a championship contender. Like I said, when you lose a guy like LeBron James and you don't replace him, you're not going to be a championship team. But in the Eastern Conference, the way that it's so top heavy and you really are on a list of teams in the East, outside of the team that are going to make the playoffs, there's about maybe 5 or 6 teams in the East that are going to challenge for the final, 3 or 4 playoffs, 2 or 3 playoff spots in the East. Cleveland's now back in that case with one of them. I think Cleveland now has a real good opportunity to potentially get back in as the 8th seed in the playoffs. If you look at the Cavs roster and you look at what they've done this summer, they lost LeBron James. They added Colin Sexton in the first round of the draft, who shined in Summer League, has showed a lot of potential, a very, very aggressive player who can play defense. And yes, he had the bad game when Josh Hart, scored a ton of points in the D League, in the Summer League semifinals. They played against the Lakers, but Colin Sexton is a dog. If you've never seen Colin Sexton play, go back to any of the tapes in college. I think I mentioned this on a previous podcast when he was here in Orlando. He is a player. This guy is a game player, and this guy is fearless. So he is going to be the future point guard for Cleveland. I mean, George Hill has 1 year left on his deal, and it wouldn't be surprised if George Hill gets moved to a playoff team, or he'll have to be relegated to being a man at the bench. I don't see Sexton being on this bench very long. Sexton is the future of this franchise. Yes, this team still has J.R. Smith and Tristan Thompson in the contract. Those contracts are immovable. It is what it is. But if you look at the Cavs rotation at guard, George Hill, Sexton, J.R. Smith, and Jordan Clarkson, Jordan Clarkson, I forgot to mention, those 4 are actually a really good solid 4. There's a really good solid 4. Not elite, but it's solid enough in the Eastern Conference that they might be better than some of the backcourts there is right now. I mean, Sexton has a possibility to be a dark horse candidate for Rookie of the Year. He's that good as a rookie. Now, really, Jetty Osman is the small forward. His job is to replace LeBron James. He's not going to. But Jetty can play the game. He's a really, really solid player. He's very underrated. Didn't get really much of a chance because when you're playing behind LeBron James, you're not going to play very many minutes. Not to mention Jeff Green is not on the roster as well, too. So Jetty has basically a free reign to actually get playing time. I don't see Kyle Korver being on this roster. I think Kyle Korver could get moved for somebody else, potentially somebody younger, or to a team that needs shooting, Philadelphia. Teams that need shooting in the Eastern Conference, or especially teams in the West that can use shooting because you got to beat the Golden State Warriors. Corver could be one of those veterans that can be moved. Kevin Love, of course, is going to slide in the power forward spot. They have Larry Nance on the roster as well, too. Nance was really, really good after the trade from LA. He played some really solid minutes, and it was real questionable why he didn't get more minutes in the finals because he showed a lot more energy and showed what Tristan Thompson showed a couple years ago when the Cavs won the championship. Speaking of Thompson, Thompson is the starting center. Ante Zizic and Channing Frye will also get time at the 5 as well, too, and Channing Frye also gets slide at the 4. So let's look at what Kevin Love is going to do in Cleveland. Okay, the last time Kevin Love was the man was back in Minnesota. Those Minnesota days where, he was a little bit heavier and a little bit more low post friendly when he was putting up 25 and 14 a night in Minnesota. Those days might be gone, but remember, the numbers that we saw from Kevin Love last year, we won't see this year. Because when you don't have a guy like LeBron James scoring almost 26 points a game on a nightly basis, that is, that's gone. So that scoring has to be replaced. What Kevin Love I can see doing is Love last year averaged 17 points and 9 rebounds, almost 10 rebounds a game in an all-star season. Remember, Love was an all-star last season. It wouldn't shock me if those numbers really went back up. I can see Kevin Love getting right around 23, 24 points a game. Love might be one of the leading scorers in the NBA this year. Why? Kevin can hit the three-pointer. He hit 41.5% from the three-point line last year, and he took 5.5 three-pointers a game. So he shoots enough of them. They're going to give him more opportunities to shoot the basketball. But what Kevin is going to do more of is Kevin's going to be in that low post more. When you have LeBron James and his ability to get to the basket, you really have to have guys to be on the wing to shoot the basketball. This is going to be a very, very interesting year for Tyronn Lue because Lue has never had to coach a team without LeBron James on there. So we don't have a guy who's ball dominant, driving to the basket almost every time when he wants to. You can use Kevin Love in different places. Love will be back in the post. Remember, Kevin hasn't had a really good shooting year. He shot 45% from the floor last year, but he hasn't took over 14 shots a game since he was back in Minnesota back in 2013. His best year was 14.5 2 years ago when he averaged almost 20 points a game back in 2015, 2016. What I'm saying is Kevin Love is going to be one of those guys that is going to put up numbers. Like I said, I think I see 23 and 11, 23 and 12 in his numbers this year. Kevin will be back in the All-Star game. I don't think there's going to be anything that's going to keep him out of the All-Star game because he really is, at 29 years old, still a top 25 player in the league. And the reason why people don't think he's a top 25 player is because, the numbers were down. 17 points, 9 rebounds a game. He hasn't hit a 20-point-a-game mark since he's been in Cleveland. Remember, when he first got to Cleveland, you're the third option. You're behind Kyrie Irving, who was one of the league's leading scorers. You're behind LeBron James. Last year, he was, he only played in 59 games last year. The minute total wasn't down because, everybody wants to keep up with the Joneses in the NBA and try to play small ball. Now it's time to put Kevin Love back in the post. I say he's not this, the heavier set Kevin Love, but Kevin's a lot more slender. He has the post moves, and he's going to show a lot more of the jump hook. I see him doing a lot more damage in the post this year. I'm telling you, the shooting percentage will be right back in the days where he was back in maybe 18, 19 shots a game like he was taking back in Minnesota. I see Love increase that scoring average to right around 23, 24 points a game. He's always a high efficiency rebounder. Remember, they're going to be playing a lot more in the low post because really, on this roster now, if you look at it, the outside shooting is still suspect. Jordan Clarkson's an all right shooter. J.R. Smith is streaky. George Hill has his moments, and Colin Sexton's not really a big-time knockdown guy. Jetty Osman, we're still going to see more of him. We didn't have much of a sample size of Jetty. He's going to have all the opportunity in the world. Now, he did shoot 37% from the three-point line last season, but it was in limited minutes. And Jetty, he's not one of those guys that's going to, blow you away athleticism. Why he's not actually a good free throw shooter either. But what Jetty can do, he's going to be able to, free some lanes. He's going to get much more playing time. It's going to be growing pains for him this season. But what I'm saying is Kevin Love has every opportunity to become Kevin Love in Minnesota again. I don't see 25 and 13 again, but I don't see 25 and 14 again, but I do see 23 and 11. At 23 and 11 in the Eastern Conference, with this team right here and the way the Cavs are shaped, they're not as bad as you think, and this team right now can really be a playoff team. And when I say playoff team, I'm not going to say a top 4 team in the East. They could be one of those teams that could finish right around 7 or 8 and cause some trouble for one of those teams in the higher upper echelon in the East. We're talking Boston, Toronto, and Philadelphia if they get the right matchup. So I want to hear what you think. Kevin Love has got 4 years and $120 million on an extension today from the Cavs. Kevin Love has been a guy waiting for this opportunity. When you've been the man, and now you go back to being a third option, and at 29, he's still in the prime of his career. He's got the next 3-4 years to actually be really good at his position. He's going to reestablish himself as one of the best power forwards in the NBA once again. And watch Kevin Love be right back in the All-Star game this year, putting up numbers he saw in Cleveland. So I want to know your thoughts. Let me know below. Follow the show on the multiple different places you're going to find it on. We're on iHeartRadio. Subscribe to iHeartRadio if you listen to iHeartRadio. If you're on Spotify, yes, we're on Spotify. Please subscribe to the show on Spotify. If you're on iTunes, please subscribe to the show on iTunes. It's free. Not to mention our good friends at Spreaker and Google, the Google app as well too for Google Podcast. We're in a lot of places now, so you have no reason not to subscribe. And please tell a friend who can tell a friend who could tell a friend who could tell a friend, because this is what we do. This is all basketball love here. At the same time, check out the website, which would be aroundtheassociation.com. With the site will be back up. It's under maintenance. I'm redoing the entire site. We're looking at an August 1 relaunch for the site. I know everybody's waiting for the site to see the articles and everything. Trust me, it's been a lot of work to try to redo the site to get everything done. Big shout outs to everybody for being patient with us. Subscribe to the show on Facebook, which will be at Facebook Around the Association Radio. We'll catch you guys later. There is more podcasts coming, so I'll check you guys pretty soon.